happens. So this is part of the She Networks. And as you all know, you all requested, let's not do every meeting on a Saturday. Let's do some on Friday and some on Saturday. And so the Friday meetings that we have on alternate months are called as She Networks, which happens from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And we pick up a topic, and that topic is thrashed around among us in a closed room. So the information remains in the room. The idea was that we pick up a topic that is, a troublesome topic for us, or we want some help, and we can share what we do. We can share our suggestions as well as the problems we're facing, so that together we can solve it. So the format is slightly different from a typical network meeting format. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So as we all know, and you all are not that new as well, and you know what TRWGC is. This is for the surprise visitor who is also listening into the call. So we are the Real Women Global Community, a dynamic platform created by Women for Women, and this was Sheetal's brainchild. And this is mainly for the growth of women, and of course, to see to it that we grow in all directions, not just work, but mentally and physically as well. And if we go to the vision, and we want to be a global community, of course, which will engage, empower. That was the main word for us. And the mission is, of course, to have higher engagement with women in construction. We want to encourage more women to come into construction and be that solid sisterhood for each other. Our objectives are learning, creating opportunities, mentoring, collaborating, and celebrating. So if you have any success stories, do put it on the group. Dipti captures all of that, and we will have it on the Saturday calls. So these are some of the initiatives we have through TRWGC. We have She Builds, She Unwinds, She Explores, She Guides. You must have had, the mentor-mentee meetings as well. I'm sure some of you all have taken up the second slot of the mentor or mentee. We have She Leads as well. We have She Elevates, and we have She Networks that you're doing now. And we have something called as She Inspires. If you need any information, do reach out to any of us for the ambassadors from the various cities. To the next one. I'm going a bit fast because I would like to give some time to the actual topic. These are some of our regional heads. Navita is from Hyderabad, Avni is from Ahmedabad, Bhagwati is from Bangalore, Alina Delhi, Rashida Pune, Shilpa is from Chennai, and Niyati is from Mumbai. Do reach out to your ambassadors if you need any help. And yes, please suggest more people to join us. The bigger we are, the stronger we become. And we can soon make our own black book also on other clients and vendors. Okay, so what do we mean by business networking? We all know why we should network, okay? Without networking, you can't even run a business. So it is for better engagement, better growth. So I would not go into all this, but there are a lot of course, takeaways when you network with each other. You learn always something new. So that is the reason we network as well. So this is a typical business network wherein we're going to expand our connections. So we're going to share knowledge, and we're going to, of course, help each other. So to the next slide now, the actual topic of the day. So how this works? Okay, the first step is, let's go back to the previous slide, Dipti. So what will happen is, we normally discuss a topic. We'll tell you what the topic is. You all stay in the room. Dipti breaks you all up into breakout rooms, and we form smaller groups to discuss the topic. You will select one leader of that group. And when we all come back into the main hall, that one leader will discuss what all you all, as a small group, what you all came up with and what was the summary. But today there's a slight twist. Okay, so if you go to the next slide, we have a speaker, and we've taken some special help because our topic was a very danger topic, and we all are going to face that in the next 3 months with the reviews coming up in March and the salaries having to go up in April. So we thought this was a topic many people will want to know. And between us, of course, we all have broken a head on it, but it'll be great to have a specialist on the topic. So Mr. Uday and Shweta Iyer. Uday is a seasoned human resource industrial relation professional. He's got about 36 years of experience. He's currently serving as a chief human resource officer at Alkyl Chemicals. And he's got Shweta along because he said it's a women group. So let me have my women colleague also onto the call. So I'll hand it over to Uday and Shweta, and they can give us a little insight on what is performance review. And, I just gave him a brief that how is it conducted? What is the right way to do it? Whether it should be a feedback or a feed forward kind of a format. And I've also told him some of the challenges we are facing as small firms, where we have issues with certain seniors not stepping up, or certain Gen Z people thinking they are the world, and we have to raise their salaries, otherwise they'll put the gun on your head. So we have a lot of human resource issues in the office. of different types, I'm sure, based on our scale of firms. So over to you, Mr. Uday, and I will. I guess Deepti will allow you to share the slides as well. Thank you so much for coming in today. Yes, Deepti.
Yeah, thank you, Raji, for this introduction and good evening. I'm really honored to be with you. Actually, I was going through your group's mission, vision, and the way forward. Really, it's a great task. Okay, what the job you are doing. Along with me is my colleague, Ms. Shweta.
Hi, hello everybody.
Hello.
Ms. Shweta is also expert in this profession. She is also MA in political science, plus master in labor studies, and she has done diploma in OD, that is Organization Development and Change Management from the reputed Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And last 1 year plus she is working with me. So I thought let her also be there. Because what Raju told me, there are some questions regarding Gen Z also. So though she is not Gen Z, but let's yeah, collaborate and uh, give justice to this topic. So should I just put the presentation?
Sure. I'm starting. Yeah. Is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So the topic for the today evening is performance management system. I'm confident that all of you must have are familiar with this topic. It's not a novice topic. It's first time you are listening. And what we'll be sharing is the outline first. Okay. And to take this forward, basically, I want this session to be interactive. Because most of you must be aware of performance management system, how it works. But then just in any system, there are some challenges. And what are those challenges? Now, in my 36, 37 years of my career, mostly I had been working in a manufacturing setup plus a service setup also. And then we have been implementing performance management system, 360-degree appraisals, different types. So how to go about, what are the challenges? So that's what we will look into. Okay, so I will first take you through what is the PMS. So when you see the definition of this is it's a systematic continuous process that align individual and team performance. So any organization, whether it's a small or big, it's a team. Okay, and then the team always performs with a common goal, which is the organization goal. Okay, so individual goals has to be aligned with the organization goal. That is the purpose of this PMS. So you have to, what is the key purpose? Align work with the strategy. And all this what we do is because to improve the productivity and the engagement. And then when we are doing this, there should be a transparency and a performance culture. So performance management involves setting clear expectations. So expectations out of each and every employee has to be made very clear. It has to be tracked continuously, provide feedback, and then evaluate. Now, why this evaluation? Because subsequently we have to motivate that employee to do such greater things in future. So we have to evaluate and then accordingly reward him. So this is a framework where employees understand what is expected, receive support to achieve that goal, and contribute meaningfully to the organization's success. Now, why PMS? Mostly when we see, the big organization, but it's not only the big organization, even a small organization also needs this PMS system. Because, in fact, in the small organization where there are 10, 20 or 50 people, the major thing is that, the person has a multiple role. Unlike in the bigger organizations, there are specific roles, there are specific departments. But let me take an example. In a larger organization, an accounts person will be doing a finance job, taxation job, all what is revolving around that finance. But in a larger organization, there will be a separate taxation department, there will be finance department, there is account department. Within account, there will be accounts receivable, accounts payable, and all these things. But in a smaller thing, the person will be having multiple roles. Yes, again, the tight deadlines are very tight because the limited manpower. There are projects which are deliverable with this the minimum manpower, client driven. Okay, so these are all the challenges which the smaller organization has. And so, in fact, PMS matters a lot in this small business too. What is the benefit is, as we have seen, clear expectations from each, better project delivery, either in time or quality. Then data for HR decisions, when we think whether to promote, to to separate that person, whatsoever it is. So it gives a proper scientific data to take that decision. So in this, what we are written in small architectural construction or interior design firms, employees often juggle like multiple responsibilities while managing demands. This is what I have said. Now, what is this PMS? So, if PMS starts with a goal setting and planning at the beginning of the year, a beginning of the year can be, the financial year, April to March or January to December, whatsoever, the 12 months period basically it starts depending upon the organization. But mostly in India, since we follow the tax regime or the financial of the government, we do it April to March. But in abroad, mostly they work from January, they do PMS from January to December, or in some organizations from June to July also, it is July to June also. So that's the planning, goal setting at the beginning. Then continuously ongoing monitoring. Now this minimum, it has to be done on a quarterly basis, but it's always better if it's done on a monthly basis or even if required in a smaller version on a fortnightly basis also if the time permits. And while doing this monitoring, the checkup, it's not only that we are monitoring, but we have to give continuous feedback to the employee that whether he's on the track or he's off the track. If he's off the track, what is the support required? Then we have to give that support. We have to coach him, guide him. So this feedback and coaching is mostly required, and it has to be there when we want monitor. Then mid-cycle review, that is a half-yearly review. So quarterly or monthly review, yes, it is there, but in mid-review, you have to give him a clear picture that, during last 6 months, we have been discussing, we have been tracking, we have been supporting you. So what is the status of that employee's performance? The performance of an employee, as we all know, all the organization success depends upon the individual's performance. So that feedback, that support, that coaching is required. So this mid-cycle review is the most crucial one, which has to be done judiciously. And then that feedback is to be given. And then again, you can even, I'll come forward when we talk about separation. So even if you see that the employee is not performing, we have to separate him midway because we cannot afford to take him for the another 6 months also. Because his efficiency will jeopardize the organization. Then the final evaluation at the end of the 12th month, and then based on the rating, Now again, ratings is mostly what we do. So some organizations follow 10 scale rating, 4-point rating, 5-point rating. It's one and the same it takes. Okay. So that final rating, and then when you do that rating, so that then converts into the reward system. How we reward them, how much we reward them. Plus, we also identify the goals for the next year. See, when we set the goals, and when we are monitoring during the monthly or quarterly meetings, we will come to know sometimes what happens at the beginning of the year, we set a goal, uh, but those goals may be loosely set. Then we can find out, oh, the employee has the capacity to do much more than what we are the goals have been set. So we can change that goals. We can make it more stretch one. Or sometimes we feel, oh, the goals what was set are really not achievable. Okay, maybe because of the employees or maybe because of the business. Sometimes it happens that we set a goal depending upon what we forecast for our business, but then the business scenario is different. So then accordingly also we have to change or amend the goals. And then another important thing which comes out is the training need identification. So when we observe that employee, when we discuss with him, so we also come to know what are his shortcomings. And the employee is good, but then he can still do better. But then what are his further training needs? If we provide that training to him, then in the next or the coming years, he will perform much better. So these are all the outcomes of these are the steps what we do in the performance management system. So now again, when we set a goal, the goals are to be smart goals. So goal setting is most important thing in this PMS. So as you know, SMART is the goal should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time bound. So that is how the goal has to be set as SMART goals. Then we have to always engage, collaborate with the employee. It's not key at the beginning of the year, usko goal de diya, and then at the only at maybe at the 6 month or mid review or at the in a year-end review, we talk to him. So that is why this continuous monitoring, but minimum it has to be every quarter or maybe every month also. If the organization, if your job and your time permits, it should be done on month-to-month basis. And then, as I was talking about, when we connect with the employees throughout the year, then the align with the objectives, then we have to suppose, as I was telling you, we want to change the objectives, sometimes make it more stringent, or maybe we have to loosen it. So that is what we can do it. So there are some examples also, like I was told that for architects and site supervisors and engineers and folks are there. So in case of architects, I don't know, we are not from that profession, but still, complete schematic design for 3 clients project by quarter 2. So these are some examples what we can do. And this KRA, when we define these goals, or the key result areas for the employee, it should be the key result areas. Not each and every job has to be written down. So we have to club it and make it in max to max 4 or 5. In fact, 4 only. So there should be 4 or max to max 5 areas which we have to define as a key result area where he has to perform, show his result, and which he or she will be evaluated. Now, as I was telling, monitor the advancement towards established goal continuously, address issues. So when we do continuous monitoring, so address the issues early, identify resolve obstacles. So we do set the goals, but then we realize, oh, there are certain obstacles. So then we can remove those obstacles, give them the support. Someone will tell, oh, मेरे को ये नया software is there. If you can get it, I can do much better with a more faster speed, with much precision. So then that call can be taken. Then communication, always it has to be there. The dialogues are always open, transparent. Okay, so these are the best practices, what we say weekly, bi-weekly. See, weekly, bi-weekly, when we say it is not, it can be just a 10-15 minutes talk also. But when we do quarterly or half yearly, It has to be a very systematic way, in a very formal way. We have to sit with the KRA. Then the employee has to submit what he has achieved, and then there has to be a presentation on the achievement. And see, when we are saying, the smart goals, the goals has to be smart, measurable. So we should not leave the KRS that, it's in a vague manner. It has to be measurable. So the biases is not there. So we can do justice when we do the evaluation. So simple dashboards can be developed, documents has to be maintained. So this is how the PMS process goes. Now, continuous feedback and coaching, as I was telling. So timely feedback, provide feedback immediately after observing the behavior. So you need not have to wait, let him fail and then we will give you the feedback. So immediately, because any failure of the employees is a damage, disaster for the organization. So immediately, timely, we have to intervene. So give him the support. So focus on concrete examples and observable behavior rather than vague generalization. What we are talking about. Include clear next steps and practical suggestions for improved or continual excellence. Again, the same mid-cycle review, what I was telling, revisit the goals and give the support. If you want, Raji, I can subsequently share this the PPT with you if you want. Okay. And coming to the final stage of the final performance evaluation, gather document feedback and examples. See, now when we say feedback, so one is what the employees give on his KRA, his goals, how he has fared. So since these are the smart goals, these are measurable goals, so he will give with the documentation, with some facts and figures that how he has performed. But there are other things also, like we have to also take maybe 360-degree feedback or feedback from the other departments or the internal customers or maybe from the external customers also. Because since it's all the service industry, your employees are, interacting with your customers, so you can get feedback from the customers also. And then once it is done, and the ratings are there, maybe on the 5 scale or 10 scale, based on usually what we get is that, like I have written that rating scale example. He needs improvement. He's an average. In fact, below that is, a poor performer. Then, okay, he can be continued, he can stay in the organization, but he needs improvement. Then there are people who meet expectations. And then there are certain outperformers, who exceed expectations. So these are your high pot employees. So you have to consider those employees, how we can retain them, how we can, draw their career path so that they are retained. So this is how all the PMS cycle works. Okay. Want to take calibration? Yeah.
So I believe so far as far as the PMS process is concerned, we are all aware how it runs, and what Mr. Ghag did was just to run us through the entire thing. I think as far as calibration of fair ratings are concerned, here is where the HR really plays the role, because that is where we don't know how we decide what is fair and what is, so what could be fair for one may not be fair for the other person. And this is something that as human resource professionals, we always face a challenge. But then I think there is a middle path. So that's how the HOD also comes in the picture. We also take the employees' feedback, and finally then, we settle on the rating. So this is the whole idea here, is to ensure that the person who is performing is, is treated fairly, and somebody who's not performing is also, I wouldn't say is shown the door, but is also, mentored or coached in terms of making him or her realize that, why it is important to perform, and not be where he or she is. So this was as briefly as we could speak about the entire process. The floor is open. We can probably have some questions in the next 5-10 minutes. since, and yeah, thank you so much. And so much.
Yeah. So, see, basically, when we talk about smart goals and then the evaluation based on the smart goals, there is many times, this we cannot measure each and everything. Okay, because all the things are not measurable. And then the individual biases or the preferences comes in. And that is why the calibration has to be done. So maybe in a smaller organization, there may not be an HR department, but then the proprietor or the owner of that organization has to play the role of an HR head, and then he has to look into, because it's a small organization, he knows each and every employee. So then he has to do that final calibration before we do the final performance appraisal or the rating. So if you ask me, always when we do, we identify 5% the top performance and then the 5% poor performance. They may not be totally good for nothing, but then sometimes when if the organization has to grow, has to outshine, with the competitors, always the last performing 5% you have to chop, and then bring in the new blood. If you want your organization to be, performing better than your competitor. So this is, many times it feels, अरे HR वाले ये क्या कर दे, लोग तो सब 5% लोगों को हर साल निकालते, because you have to do that. There are certain, because if you just keep them continuing, they will also feel ये चलता है, ये organization में okay, this is what we are doing, is okay, and they are comfortable because they don't have high aspirations. But the organization certainly has high aspirations to grow into the business because the business is dynamic. There are a lot of challenges, competition, and if the employees are just stuck at one level and they don't, upgrade themselves, then the organization will not grow. So that's a hard decision, but yes, the organization has to take. Again, it depends again upon who is the proprietor, what is the culture. Sometimes a family business with that culture, यार नहीं, किसी के पेट पे लात नहीं मारने का है. तो किसी के पेट पे लात मत मारो पर फिर आपके धंधे पे कुराड़ आ जाएगी. Okay, so this is what it is. Okay, so we will open because this is what we have given the brief. Okay, so any questions, most welcome.
Yes, so thank you so much, Uday and Shweta. There are some questions. I will just start from the bottom. Puneet is asking, employees tend to mention industry standards while discussing KRAs and remuneration. What's your take on managing this?
Yeah.
So when you say industry standard, you're talking in terms of the increment or
Yeah.
what?
Typically, as architects, I think Puneet, you can ask your question as well. You're there, right?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I was trying to get at, that often when we're talking about these matters, this thing about industry standard is brought up, that this is what is happening and this is what other organizations are giving. Although in our it's actually very, very, I would say, specific. Each one of us is managing different types of design businesses and doing that kind of stuff. But if there is some sort of a way in which one can calibrate, based on what we know, or so that we are prepared to sort of manage these kind of questions and figure out how to handle this. Can you all hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you. I think they logged off by mistake. So we got your question. If anybody else also wants to discuss, we'll discuss the questions if they join back. That's fine, because the idea was they set a tone to the whole thing, and we are going to go back into our normal format. We will be broken up into rooms, and
I think they've
I think
joined
they're
back,
back.
Raji.
Yes, good.
Sorry, there was some technical challenge.
No issues.
Yeah. So basically, when we talk about what are the industry standards, see, basically, think that way. Why anyone joins any organization? उसको तो नौकरी चाहिए, he wants the income, correct? Befitting his qualification and experience, right? Now, from industry to industry, it differs. Again, from role to role, it differs. But if you see a living wage or the minimum, there is a concept you must be knowing about the minimum wage. Basically, that is for the unskilled or the, some laborers and all the things. But there is again a concept called living wage. So what is that living wage? A person, a person with an qualification X, what's a certain qualification? With this standard of living, what he should take home. Okay, so that is what it works. But if you see about the annual increment, if you are asking, it's roughly ranges between 8 to 12%. But 10% is an average minimum because it is related with the inflation.
Yes.
Yeah. So hope I have replied to your question.
Yeah. Thank you.
And another thing also plays, demand and supply. So what is the demand for that particular professional?
Right.
So again, demand and supply also, but that's, at the entry level. So, but year on year, 10 to 12%, yes. And then again, if you want to retain, then you have to think
Got it.
about.
Yeah. True.
So there's another question from Priyanka. She says, if you're a small organization and the owners get into hiring, then what are the skills that matter that we should keep in mind majorly? Like, I think Priyanka is asking, she wants to hire herself, not use an HR agency. Is that what you're saying, Priyanka? And then what
Yeah.
skills?
So see, when you are an HR company or you have an in-house HR department, then you generally specify and define a very big list of, professional and personal skills which you want to basically tick mark and reject. Okay, but when we are owners and we don't have a very big company where we can hire in-house HR companies, or for that matter, sometimes what happens, even when you're hiring through an HR agency, it's a contract for 3 months where you keep losing employees and money, which is a very big factor for us being a startup and a company where we are trying to build in and not lose money too much. So here we are getting into hiring ourselves. And then it is so because we are not from the HR industry, it's very difficult to define those skill sets or list down those skill sets which we need to keep in mind to hire in personal and professional aspects.
Yeah. So, just probably let's talk about a role in your organization. Assuming you're looking for, can you give me one role and I'll give you an example of
So
this.
we are looking for a furniture designer specifically right now, for example.
So you're looking for designers.
Yes.
Furniture designer.
Furniture design.
Furniture design.
Right. Now, when you're looking for furniture designers, assuming your firm, I'm assuming you're the proprietor, yeah, and you are, and if you're catering to a audience which is say a high end clientele, yeah, so you would need somebody who has knowledge about what kind of high-end furniture, what kind of designs are, usually which are popular with the high-end clients, right? So the first skill set that you would look for is experience in terms of what kind of firm he or she has worked with. Yeah, so that experience here matters first, and that is actually a skill.
Okay.
If I'm able to put myself correctly, because we don't come from we are from manufacturing, but I'm just giving an example from your this. So how we look at it is what kind of experience this person has had in the job role that we are looking for. Yeah, now you can say that somebody with no experience can also work well. Yes, that is true. But as HR, we are risk averse when it comes to hiring. Yeah, so I'm just telling you what we do. Yeah, so we are slightly risk averse because the moment somebody steps in who doesn't have that kind of experience and is not able to deliver, it backfires on us. Then, why did you choose this candidate when you knew he or she did not have that capability? Yeah, that experience rather. So that's first thing, you look for the experience. Second thing you look for is what we would have done in such cases is that probably ask for a demo. Like if you're looking for a trainer in our field, if you're looking for a trainer, say in say soft skills training, in the interview we give them a topic and tell them you show us a demo of 10 minutes. Okay, so in that 10 minutes, if you are good at your job, 10 minutes is good enough for you to understand how that person is faring. So that is something that, so probably in your thing, you can ask him or her to design something. You can give them some concept, give them a day or two, not much, and ask them to come back and yeah, today you can use AI and design stuff, but then you would know now if this is done by AI or by a person. I mean, by now we know if something is done by AI or not.
No, even if
Yeah.
it's done by AI, when you ask
Yeah.
questions and if is how confidently he replies, then you come to know whether he has copied it from somewhere or he has taken help of his friend to do it, or whether it is his own creation.
So that is another thing that you look for. Third, of course, the very typical thing is that you look for qualification. I mean, somebody who has a diploma or a bachelor's or something, but that you will find across. That is not something that is a mandatory thing, something not that we discuss here. But just because somebody has done a bachelor's in say furniture design, I don't know if such bachelor's exists, but if there is a bachelor's like this, then just because he or she has done it doesn't mean he or she is qualified to do that. Okay, so just because you take somebody from another thing is you can also check where she has interned before. You do a ref check, you speak to the that organization where the person has already worked. Through the ref check also you get to know, how good was that person, and if she says that she has probably worked on a particular project, and if you can go and see that project, can see that, and then you would get to know. So yeah, so these are some of the things that
Okay.
you can look
Thank
for.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll take one last question because we'll have to move into the network session. Divya has asked, can PMS work for shop floor blue collar workers?
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes.
absolutely.
See, basically, these shop floor workers, there are basically three types. Basically, what we divided. One is the unskilled, then
Mhm.
skilled, and then highly skilled. But
Okay.
now you will say unskilled is what is this? But no, even for the unskilled, there is a skill. Even for a sweeper, there is a skill how he sweeps the floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then when we come to the skilled one, like welder, fitter, turner, machinist, okay? And then the highly skilled, a more sophisticated job. They are masters craftsmen. Now, when we in the manufacturing, when we engage these people, as Sweta was telling, in any other case, we have a set of checklist. Like first is there is a job specification, what job that person has to perform. Okay, there is a job specification, there is a job description.
Hmm.
So when we call for an CVs, we see whether it matches with that. Okay, then we screen out of that who are the best 10 or best 20, depending upon the number of candidates we want to engage. And then we start interviewing. And when during the interview, it's maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or half an hour, there you have to judge that whether what he has written in his CV or what he is talking about is really, he means that. And then when it's, we can also have some written test. We can also have some, as Sweta was telling, some demos. We can tell them like, welders. I was in a engineering industry, which was a very precision, manufacturing for this, not aircraft, but this, your Chandrayaan,
Turbines.
yeah.
Yeah, satellites.
So there, that welding or that, that part has to be a precision, with a very high precision, it has to be manufactured. So that welding has to be so we ask them, okay, we give them, okay, this is the thing, you go and you weld and show it to us. So we come to, so even we can take that practical, test also of him. So this is how we do the selection.
But does it help to create a stickiness? Because in textile manufacturing, a lot of employees are like on the shop floor on contract. One or two employees will be actually doing, on payroll basis. So it helps to increase the stickiness. So for them, it doesn't matter. अगर पगार मिल रहा है तो ठीक है, नहीं तो they'll move on to the
Now,
next
I
one.
don't know what textile you are referring to because I have worked in a company which had a spinning department, weaving department, dyeing department, correct?
Yeah,
Right from the cotton, sourcing of the cotton or wool to manufacturing. So, you take the case of Raymond or you take a case of Bombay dye. So, which was,
yeah,
earlier the cotton one.
yeah,
Now there is a synthesis, there the process is different.
yeah,
The rayon, the process is different. Okay, so yes,
yeah,
certainly the contract labors are engaged because see now what has happened, more and more companies or the employers try to, bring in contract labor. But when you engage a contractor, you have to tell that contractor that your labor will be having that particular skill set. He cannot, unskilled worker cannot, then you have to do, give him training and then after 3 months or 6 months, he will come to that level. But then during that, then you can afford to, bring unskilled labor. So you have
So I think